Tosh, what kind of murder conspiracy case did you think you were walking into after you heard opening statements? What were your initial thoughts?
Let's see. My initial thought was, this is intense. I've never heard anything like it. So when we got to get a little snippet of what we were going there for, it just was intense.
Yeah. Opening statements, you listened to the prosecutor, Trina Kay, and she probably spoke for about an hour or even a little bit more. And she's basically giving you a roadmap of what you're going to see.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to listen to names and take notes. Were you taking notes? Just take me through that.
I took a ton of notes, pages and pages of notes. And throughout the whole process, I'd like to think that I did a pretty good job at taking notes so that I remembered everything. I wrote down the times, the days, the names, everything, so that I didn't miss anything.
And what stood out to you on day one?
That she got emotional talking about everything in her opening statement.
Lori did, yeah. Specifically about her daughter.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a little bit. But as we stand here right now, what do you think of the case now in this moment?
It's a lot. It's way bigger than I thought it would ever be when I first heard about it.
What is it about the case that makes it so much for you?
That someone could do something like that to someone they loved.
19 witnesses took the stand, and we really were expecting maybe 5 to 6 weeks, a long trial. But this went pretty quick and fast. Who among those witnesses made the most impact in your opinion?
I think Kay and Adam, because out of Adam's take on it, he basically said that he kind of explained to us that the Nephi thing, and he basically told us that what she did that had to do with the Nephi thing wasn't a legit thing, you know.
Like should not have been justified the way she justified it.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming into this, are you a religious person? Do you know a lot about the Mormon Church, LDS members?
I don't know anything about it. I'm from a small town where you're either Christian or you're not. And so I've never heard anything about this other than when I moved here and I watched Salt Lake City Housewives and they're like LDS, and that's the first time I ever heard of it.
So really not too familiar at all.
No.
So really family members stood out to you. Adam Cox, her brother, Kay Woodcock, Charles's sister, because you could relate and just see the family dynamic and how Adam clearly knew she had a problem. Yeah.
And I want to say one of the detectives as well, kind of just telling us about the shots and the text messages that were sent, those messages that he got, and how he found where the phone was when it arrived and when it left. So we got to know how many minutes it actually was from other than what Lori was telling us. That stuck out too.
The timeline tracing her location with basically 2 phones, including Charles's phone, that had to be concerning. You knew that Lori is not a lawyer.
Right.
How do you think she did representing herself?
I think she did. So in the beginning, it was a little bit iffy because she kept messing up her wording and stuff like that. But throughout it, she actually did really good, I think. In my opinion, she did pretty good.
For not ever having the experience.
Yeah. She held her ground, I'd like to say.
Was it her cross-examination? Because we know she didn't present any evidence. She didn't have any witnesses. When she questioned witnesses on the stand, how do you think she came off? And I know there were some moments that were very tense.
Yeah. She came off, tense is a good word. A little bit sassy is how I'd like to put it, because she would, kind of snap back when she wasn't supposed to. But, yeah.
And the judge would basically shut things down and make sure everything was... Would you say he was patient?
Very, very patient.
Yeah. So you said during your initial interviews with the media that after the verdict that 2 of the jurors were not fully convinced that she was guilty. Mm-hmm. Why were they still so unsure? Take me through that process.
I'm not really sure why they weren't completely knew what they wanted, but one of them wanted to rewatch the Walgreens clip where, I don't know if you've watched the video, but she actually did come in with shoes on, and she said she didn't. But she did, and then she switched them from going from Walgreens to back to the house. And then the other guy that was on the fence was the text messages. So we reread through all those, and then he got clarification, and then we went from there.
So it was a simple lie about having shoes or no shoes that you guys
because
didn't trust her.
Yeah, because if you lie about something as simple as sandals on your feet, why should we believe you for anything else,
And in that timeline, her husband has been shot and killed.
Yeah.
She's gone to Burger King as well, and she had never called 911.
Yeah.
You knew that. Yeah. So already you were suspicious.
Yeah, because why are you doing all that rather than just calling 911 if it meant that much, Yeah.
The text messages, obviously, it's very complex and strange. And you had this guy on the fence in your jury. How did you guys explain or get on the same page of what these texts meant regarding dark spirits, Ned, being possessed? There's a lot of text messages to go over, but what were the ones that stuck out and that needed to be, focused on?
The ones where that part where they said he was Ned before we got rid of him, specifically the part where it says before we got rid of him, and then later after that it was that they were going to be like Nephi, both of them. Yeah.
Days leading up to the shooting.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So she thinks that she's this powerful person in her mind.
Yeah.
And you're gathering that when she says it was Ned before we got rid of him, that, poor Charles, but he was just possessed.
Right.
By, that's why this life insurance beneficiary changed.
Yeah.
And you heard the call to life insurance.
Yeah.
2 parts. What did you think about that?
It was different. She was very calm. You can tell that she was trying to figure out what to say and what not to say. So that was another point of where we were kind of like, why is she lying?
They asked if it was a homicide, or the person asked from the insurance company, she said it was an accident. Was there ever a moment that you thought maybe Charles Vallow and Alex Cox did get into an actual fight?
I think they probably did get into a argument, but I don't think that the second shot was self-defense, if either of them.
Based on the evidence, do you think Charles actually hit him in the back of the head with that bat that you saw?
No. We got to look at the bat, and there was nothing. There was nothing on it. No prints, no hair, no anything.
Yeah, what was that like? You mean like in deliberation, you're looking at this in front of you?
Yeah, we got all of it in front of us. And so we got to touch the bat, we got to touch the gun, the casings, the floor piece, the trim, everything.
Yeah, the floorboard and how it was defected. There was a lot of technical testimony. I'm sure some witnesses, you're taking notes and you're just like, when is this going to be over? Going into ballistics, the bullet entries, CPR and how that was not done, etc. So how did you piece it all together to understand that Charles was really set up?
So it does not take a scientist to know that if someone was swinging the bat, like she said, like he was holding it up here, the bullet would have hit his arm. It would not have hit straight in his chest. So he wasn't swinging it at the time. On top of that, the bat was on the complete opposite side of where it would have went if he was holding it when he got shot.
Yeah. With Lori's cross-exam on experts, detectives, she alluded to maybe the shirt, the bamboo fabric causing the shored wound.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts in that moment as she's reaching?
Honestly, it was, and I think I could say this for all of us, it was hard not to take her seriously. Like, doesn't matter what kind of material a shirt you're wearing, whether it's
Fabletics?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Or
like
something tight.
Yeah. Or just cotton. A bullet's not gonna be stopped due to what shirt you're wearing. So when she kept repeating it, we were all just, and she mentioned the price of it, like it was supposed to make a difference in if it was gonna stop a bullet or not.
So in your mind, you're just trying to stay serious. But
Yeah.
You're like, are you kidding me right now?
That's exactly how it was, yeah.
Let's talk about her demeanor, Lori's demeanor. What were you looking to see on her face and in her behavior following the shooting?
Really anything but how she was. It was complete opposite of how it should have been. She wasn't worried about her brother being hurt. She wasn't asking how her husband was. She was giggling and laughing with the officer, and in her interview she was doing the same thing.
Her body language, and there was no breakdown.
Yeah, she was very laid back, didn't really seem to faze her.
So when you're seeing that, what was your reaction in that moment, seeing her laughing, smiling, even vilifying Charles in those interviews?
My reaction was, she's not there. To put it in a nice way. It's hard to, I don't understand how she reacted like that in the situation that she was in.
Did you believe she was guilty at that point when you saw the video, or were you still on the fence?
No, I fully believe she was guilty.
She did tell you guys that she wanted you to watch the full 55-minute interview with Chandler Police. Mm-hmm. Did you do that?
Yeah, when it came to deliberation, that's the first thing we did, was watch that video, because we wanted to see what she wanted us to see. Mm-hmm. And watching it, we're not sure why she wanted us to see it, because it made her look worse. The parts that the state showed, the clips that the state showed us, were the important parts of the interview. And the parts that they didn't, she took her sandals off and crossed her legs and was sitting in the chair like she was in her own home. Yeah. She was unfazed, still smiling, still joking.
And there's even a moment where Detective Inclan walks out, so you get to see her by herself.
Yeah.
And if she's going to break down in tears, or if she's going to say anything, but you didn't get any reaction or remorse from her.
It was just, she just hung out.
So, and then after that video, you guys went to lunch, I assume. You guys had the 12 p.m. lunch that day. Mm-hmm. Yeah. At what point in this trial did you ask, where's Tylee, where's JJ?
We were all thinking that. We found out that we were all thinking that. We just couldn't talk about it because it wasn't deliberation yet. So we couldn't say anything what we were thinking or wanting to ask.
Did you expect to hear from Tylee as a potential witness?
Yeah, fully. And then while we were in deliberation, someone asked, why didn't she bring out anyone? Her kids, her friends. she didn't bring out anyone. So at that point, we were just questioning what happened and why.
Were you thinking, could they be dead, or?
No, I wasn't thinking that at all. I'm not sure what the others were thinking, but that's not something that crossed my mind.
Wow. So you come to this verdict in less than 3 hours. Did it feel fast to you? And did you come into deliberations already 100% that she was guilty?
Yeah, I knew already, and 10 out of the 12 of us already knew what we wanted to put, and that was that she was guilty.
So really it was looking over text messages and other evidence to get everyone on the same page.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty quick after that. After that lunch break, what did y'all, was it more of the, let's look this over?
Mm-hmm. That's when, after lunch is when we kind of show of hands if you know what it is or if you're on the fence, And then once we re-went through the evidence and they got what they needed, we were like, sign that paper and hand it to them because we don't need to waste anyone else's time, because we could have stretched it out and waited till the next day. They gave us that option, but we were like, let's not waste anyone's time. Mm-hmm. We already know what we want, so we might as well just do it.
After closing arguments, though, and you received the case as a jury, you decided to go home for the day. How did that decision get made? Because that was like Monday afternoon, mm-hmm. around 3:15, and really you guys didn't officially get into deliberations, right? It was They sat us down, and then they were like, it's already almost 4:30, so if you guys want to just go home, you can. Otherwise, you can start the deliberation right now. And at that point, everyone just decided to go home and pick up Tuesday. Was it pretty exhausting, all of this information?
It was. I've never heard, seen, been a part of anything like this. And not being able to talk to anyone or ask questions and just keep to yourself for a little over 2 weeks is hard.
And you just want to go have some normalcy, see your family, talk to your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. We talked about her demeanor in the crime scene as for when that was happening, mm-hmm. but watching her at her table, what body language, cues, or expressions did you notice on her when the murder was discussed as she's in the courtroom? Because we couldn't really see her face.
Yeah, so she was, the whole time anyone said anything important, like the state or a witness, anytime someone would say something important or that caught her attention, she would look at us and just kind of smirk or roll her eyes like it wasn't a big deal. But she kept pretty good eye contact with us throughout the whole thing.
She's looking at all of you, whether she's up there or not, I assume when she's listening.
Yeah, when she was sitting at the defendant table.
Is it a smile? Mm-hmm. Is it she's gauging you guys, what you were thinking?
Yeah, she looked at us and smirked and would either smirk or shake her head or roll her eyes, just anything.
How'd that come off to you when she's doing that?
That she doesn't care.
Yeah. I don't think she can hide those emotions the way she is.
No. She's very, her face has a lot of expressions that she doesn't hide them, and it showed throughout the journey of this.
12 men on the jury before alternates were chosen. Now that you know more about her, do you think she thought that would work in her favor, having more men on the jury?
No, I don't.
Oh. What was it about the text messages you've talked about, but what really popped to you that told you this is a clear conspiracy to kill Charles? Like, that was point blank, answered it for you.
That she was going to be like Nephi and so was her brother. And that when she said that, they got rid of him.
When she brought up in closing arguments that this was just a positive religious message about Nephi and made to look like a directive to kill, did you buy that? Do you think that was, really, how else could she counter that?
Exactly. That's kind of how we took it too. she kind of tried to play it off like it was a positive thing, and that was not the case, and we all knew that.
So her own words basically convicted her.
Yeah.
What could the prosecution have done more to make the case stronger, in your opinion?
I think, well, now that I've seen the documentary and YouTube videos, I think that they should have taken it a little more serious when they showed a clip where Charles said that he knows that she wants to murder him. They did not show us that.
Yeah.
And I think that would have played a big role in it.
Yeah, he was talking to Gilbert Police several months before.
Yeah.
How did you feel for him?
A ton, because I have 3 godsons who, if they were going through something like that, if we couldn't reach them, I wouldn't know what to do, you know? I mean, it's not, I'm not comparing it to it, but I try to think of it like that, because I would have felt like my whole world was ending if I couldn't reach my kids just randomly. Yeah. And if they were just gone, you know, because he couldn't reach them and he couldn't reach her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really sad. Also, the fact that Kay and Larry could not reach JJ.
Yeah.
And Colby didn't know where Tylee was.
Yeah, anyone.
Yeah. What do you think Lori could have done differently to help her defense?
Had witnesses. Yeah, anyone that could be on her side, I think would have helped her. It would have looked better for her, but we pretty much knew from about the very beginning that it was just not good.
When you found out that she wasn't presenting evidence or no witnesses were taking the stand on her behalf, that had to solidify for you that she was guilty then?
Yeah, it did, because really it's saying that nobody's on her side. There's no one to support her.
If she would have testified and talked about, you know, Charles being allegedly enraged and chasing her around with the bat, she had his phone, do you think that would have done anything for you as a juror? No, because again, we were there for the conspiracy of it, not for what Alex did, you know. Yeah. So we were looking at what she was saying, how she was acting. Okay, so it wasn't that was an easy answer then. Yeah, she knew what was going on. Yeah. When you guys got into deliberations, what did the foreperson say to start things off? How was the tone set? There was a lot of talking. Everyone was talking over everyone. And then finally, he was like, okay, let's just come to a conclusion. And that's when he wanted us to raise our hands to see who wanted to vote what. Did you feel like there was this big sigh of relief from everybody as you guys can actually talk about this? Yeah, 100%. Because 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks not being able to talk to anyone is hard, especially when we're going through the case that we're going through, realizing that it's the biggest case in America right now, you know? So having to keep that to ourselves, it takes a toll on us a little bit. This is what I really want to ask too. How did you react to her questioning of Nancy Jo Hancock, the woman who dated Charles the night before his murder, and how she criticized Nancy's morals because Charles was married? If I'm being honest, I think it was childish how she went about it. It was more of her trying to make her feel bad for being with someone or wanting to be with someone that was allegedly still Lori's husband, you know? And the way she was asking questions, it wasn't doing her any favors. And meanwhile, at the time, she was in her own affair. Yes. Yeah, and you saw those messages, and the story of James and Elena that Chad wrote and how they felt about each other. Was that shocking to you or messy?
It was, yeah, you could say messy. It was a long story. I don't know if you got to read it, but it was pretty intense and pretty, very romantic, I'd say. Yeah.
And now you've seen and learned more about Chad Daybell.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think?
He's like the guy version of her. They're the exact same person almost.
Wow. Were there any jurors that questioned the job Chandler Police did investigating the shooting initially?
I don't think so.
Like, do you think they just didn't believe that this was a murder at first, and it took some time to really see that there were big red flags, especially with everything coming out in Idaho? Now looking back,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah,
hindsight's
now-
2020.
Yeah. Now looking back, there's a couple red flags that you could see, but I don't know how they couldn't see that it wasn't a murder when he was shot twice.
Yeah, and the way he was shot the second
Yeah.
time. What are the lies you feel Lori told even during closing arguments?
The one that stuck out was the one about her sandals. You know, she still preached about running out of the house with no shoes on. And then, like, even knowing that we got to see the clips, you can clearly see she did have them on, and that she tried to trick the camera by taking the tags off at the checkout and putting the sandals on the floor, but then she picked them back up. I don't think she knew that the camera got that part of her also. I think she just thought it was like from the waist up, but we could see that she put them on the floor to make it look like she was putting them on and then picked them back up.
Interesting. Do you think this case is mainly about money or religion?
That's a good question. I think it had to take part with money, because $1 million is a lot, and even though she's worth $2 million, $1 million is still a lot. So she said she wasn't upset when she found out that the beneficiary was changed, and that wasn't the case, because you could tell she was upset through the messages and what she said.
Even how she acted towards the life insurance specialist or the person.
Yeah, just
that,
lying to him in general.
Yeah.
To start off with was a red flag.
Now that this is over, what have you watched and read since the verdict, and how are you feeling at everything you're learning?
I watched the documentary. I've watched YouTube videos. I've read parts of the past stuff, and I just think it's a lot to take in, knowing that I get to be a part, or was a part of, this whole thing. But the whole thing is intense. I couldn't imagine ever going through something like that.
And this was the case that really started it all off.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, you're part of getting justice for Charles,
Yeah.
but if there was a hung jury, a mistrial or something like that happened, and then you all go home and find out everything else, I mean, wow. Have you thought about what that would have felt like?
I haven't really got time to even think.
That makes sense.
I'm still coming down from this whole thing.
You got a lot of notes. Lastly, how would you describe these last 2 weeks?
A lot. Knowing everything that we've got to know, and learning everything that we have, and seeing everything, it's a lot.
How do you think it would have went if she did take the stand, and then Trina would have cross-examined her?
not good. I think she would have cracked. Trina is extremely good at what she does, and I think it would have gotten to her, and she would have cracked.
Do you feel like those closing arguments sealed the deal? Because I think Trina went almost 2 hours talking to you.
She did, yeah. I think it played a big role in it.
All right. Juror number 8, thank you so much.
Thank you.